Do the bit to our left. Oh, excuse me. Oy vey. Sneezes.
Oh, God! Oh, come on.
Things are not going well.
What's so blue?
So 2:30 in the afternoon, so game time we've been at this for just about 2 hours. Actually a bit less probably. Where's the contract? Yeah, third of the way through.
Oh, you got a bounce right there.
So actually not doing too badly on this then. Will be done by the evening. Oh, I'm going to need to figure out a way to pick up the... pick up the stuff. So I don't have a bucket or a front loader. I could get a skid steer, I guess. So there's a cheap one. I think there's a cheap JCB skid steer in the Polish tractor pack, so maybe I'll use that. Probably only need a bucket for it. Tractor's got the 3-point pallet forks that we can use to ship stuff to and from store, market, wherever. I have never ever used a skid steer in Farm Sim 17 or 19. Whoa! Don't put that down in the neighbour's field. Lawfolds came with one in starting equipment. I immediately sold it. I think the Valley of the Old Farm, or the Valley of the Old Farm, had one too in the starting equipment. I never used that either. Otherwise the chickens are going to make a mess with their food, and I've got no way to clean it up. Don't want to be spending vast amounts of money. So we still need to buy seed and quite possibly fertilizer. Although both of our fields have a level of fertilizer on them, I don't actually recall putting any down, so that's obviously a legacy from the start setup that we were given. Oops. Forwards. Let's go. So I've noticed there are some Seasons Geos that appear a little bit cheaty. The one for Bavaria allows you to plant all the crops at 1 degree Celsius. This one is... No, I switched off using that one, changed to an Austrian Geo, which seems to have a more realistic 5 degrees for the cereal crops, and quite a bit higher for soybeans and corn, which you plant later in the year.
Yes. Nice.
I did consider potentially saving some money and doing a corn silage harvest. So obviously I haven't planted anything yet because it's too cold. What I'm not sure about is... That's 150 horsepower. I can't run that. So, not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it has potential. I mean, this tractor's only about 104 horsepower, so it's good enough for the small work, but yes, we are doing a cultivating contract because we've got a cultivator, we don't have a plough. Don't think I have a plough. I have a plough, yes, I bought a plough, but I'm doing a cultivating contract. Although it doesn't count for cultivating as far as what is it? The FS19 achievements. It does count as a contract. I think I need to do about 100, so We got a ways to go for those. And welcome to the stream. How are things with you tonight? Oh. Oh, yuck, I just noticed I'm under 100,000. That must be that little loading shelf that I bought. How are we doing now? Well, we're over halfway. Good. Oops, that was right. Drop already, thank you. But we also need the income. I haven't checked this map for trees, although again that could be a challenge. Of course, part of the issue is I don't have the front loader arms for this. I think I can put them on. I just didn't bother. Front loader arms are expensive. Although doing forestry, you can pretty much cover your costs in probably a couple of sessions. Three or four trees will pay for your front loader attachments and the chainsaw, and then another 3 or 4 trees should pay for the logging trailer, and then after that you're just making money. Saw Arthur decided to do some logging the other week. He was using my favourite logging fork. I think the only improvement to the LS180 logging fork would be to put straps on it. And then not make it sticky. While straps might be unrealistic, the ability to select when the log stays where you want it to and when it falls out when you want it to can be rather useful. The problem with some of the log forks is the logs are loose until you get them in exactly the right place in the fork, and then they're stuck, and it can be a big pain to free them up. Yes, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. I think it's either the LF180 or the LS180. But it has 2 prongs on the top, 2 prongs on the bottom, and is generally a very stable fork. It has some glitchiness, but I think that's farm sim physics as opposed to inherent to the fork itself. Guessing. Oh, beep beep beep. Don't know why that's on. It's not mine. As I said, we haven't been much around this map to see what's here. Although I'm slowly expanding the area I'm working in. At the moment, this is as far south as we've been. And it's not far. The farm's up around 38, 39. We're down on 72. There's a whole host of stuff down south of us. And a fair amount to the north. But, obviously, when we come to selling grains at the end of the harvest, there will be opportunities to travel further afield. But for right now, I guess as I do more contracts, I'll vary the fields we do them on. So I'll stop looking for ones close to the farm, I'll look for ones a little further afield, or just pick some at random. I tend to try and stick to the big sort of fir tree type trees, the evergreens, for forestry. Basically the stuff you can plant that happens to be already on the map. I'm not going to bother. The thing is my preference is playing seasons, and it takes over 5 years to grow a tree that you plant. I can't say with any accuracy how long it takes. On law folds, I cut down an entire forest in the first year to supplement my income. to pay for the equipment I was going to need at the end of the first year for the harvest. But I also planted that forest at the end of that first year, and we're coming up to the middle of the 6th year, and those trees are not fully grown. So I don't know how long it takes, but that's obviously end of the first year, so 5 years, 4.5 years have elapsed. The trees are big enough to cut down, but you could probably get away with the smaller I can't remember which one it is. The smaller, the tree chopping thing. Which is usually not a lot of use. Where is it? There. Forestry. So this one. The Sampo Rosen Claw. Could probably chop down the trees I now have on law folds. The Scorpion King, yeah, the trees aren't big enough for that. The trees aren't big enough to warrant that level of equipment. Obviously, the first cut, yeah, kinda. Oh, now there was something in Farm Sim 17. The Brux was basically a tree shredder, and it fitted to a 3-point hitch. Looked a bit like a forager, with a sort of a big tooth, two big toothed wheels, and a pipe out the top. So you'd unfold it and drive up to a tree, chop the tree down, and then just run this thing into it while it was switched on. And it would chew up the tree and turn it into wood chips. I used that on the Old Stream farm and cleared off all the trees that were interfering with the field on Farm Sim 17, because the trees interfered with field work, and that would clear out absolutely any tree you wanted. It had a capacity, I think, of 50,000 litres, so if the tree was bigger than 50,000 litres, you only got 50,000 litres from it. If it was smaller, then you wouldn't fill up the capacity of this thing. And then if you had a tipper close by, it would then unload the wood chips into the tipper. So what you could do, and what I ended up doing, was I'd take the tipper, I'd fill the tipper up and then chop down one more tree, go to the sawmill, tip out all the wood chips in the tipper, and then as soon as the tipper settled back down again, the Brux would unload wood chips into it again. Now I think the Brux is available in 19, not on the mod hub, and the internal capacity isn't 50,000 litres anymore, which is a shame. So you end up with far less wood chips using it, but it does chip up everything. Brux, B-R-U-C-K-S is how it's spelled. But you would need to search of it on possibly Modhoster or some of the other farm sim mod sites. And if you are out searching, be careful, because basically download from those sites, make sure you have a antivirus software running, because I'm not going to say everything on those sites is absolutely kosher. And if something doesn't look right, back out immediately. The problem is there's a lot of ads on the site and a lot of download buttons, and only one of the download buttons is to download the mod. The rest of the download buttons download all sorts of weird and wonderful software that you don't want on your PC. Or at least I don't want on mine. Do you know the original maker? I do not. I could probably look it up in 17. Although whether he produced it for 19 or whether somebody else took the idea, I don't know. I mean, I would consider it, again, it's a little bit cheaty. In Farm Sim 17, all you actually had to do was to drive the vehicle up to a tree, put the box up against the tree and turn it on, then jump out, get your grab your chainsaw and chop through the trunk, and the tree would vanish instantly. And then the wood chips would start spewing out the top into the tippy you had, hopefully behind you. So there was very little in the way of manipulating a tree once it fell over. And as I said, you probably lose a lot of wood chips. But it was a good tree clearing device, if not professional forestry device. Right. Yeah, I saw that Clutch was using that the other day. And isn't that an old Black Sheep mod? Yeah, I kind of like, if I'm going to put some work in clearing out stuff, I kind of like to make some money out of the progress. But yeah, you're right. Even if you want to clear it out, you could just get the T-Rex and just go around shredding trees. Should be getting close to the end now. It's the time coming up on 5 o'clock. And still raining strong. Hard, whatever. So hopefully tomorrow it will be warmer. You might be able to get something planted. Although I'm still a bit undecided whether I want to put down some oilseed radish and delay the crop until later fall. It's definitely getting darker. So I think it's definitely getting darker. The other thing I want to find is a good Land Rover mod. I found a couple, but I'm not really happy with how they look. I found a couple of early sort of CAD images for farm sim mods of